Welcome back. I'm no longer a racist. These were the words of former Bosasa COO Angelo Agrizzi at the state capture inquiry last week. In a clip heard at the inquiry in 2019, Agrizzi is heard referring to Joe Gumede and Papale Shabani using the K word. The former CEO was ordered to apologize and pay the Barney Mokgatle Foundation 200,000 rand. Agrizzi says he has worked closely with the Human Rights Commission. He says the organization was instrumental in the change of heart about race. He now joins us now to tell us more about his rehabilitation process. We are also joined by Barney Mokgatle from the foundation that Agrizzi donated money into. Mr. Agrizzi, thank you so much for making time. Thanks to you as well, Mr. Mokgatle. I really appreciate both of you for your time this morning, this afternoon. First of all, how have you been, Mr. Agrizzi? How is your health?
Well, it is what it is, isn't it? So let's not worry about that. It's good evening, good afternoon to yourself and your viewers. And yeah, afternoon to you, Barney, as well. My brother, how are you?
Fine, how are you, Agrizzi?
Yeah.
All right.
So Mr.
Yes.
Yes. One of the questions that you were asked last week at the state capture inquiry was whether you admitted to being racist and whether that was in the present or past tense, and you indicated that you are no longer racist. Why do you believe so? Take me through that process.
I think, Clement, what was important is when I was being questioned by Reg Willis about the very same thing, I made it very clear to him that at the moment, at that point in time, I had said I was a racist. And I think best is for perhaps Barney to just enlighten you and to give you, because we've spent many an hour and many a time and many an evening together spending time. And I think Barney would be the right person to actually answer that for you. He comes from that background. He understands black consciousness. He understands what I'd gone through as well. And he's been very privileged. I've been very privileged to spend time with him. So I think it's best handed over to Barney and let Barney explain to you exactly.
Yeah, I'm interested in your own personal reflections as well, Mr. Agrizzi, and I'll come back to you because I want to know what you think you've identified within yourself that makes you think that, in fact, you are reformed and you are no longer racist. Mr. Mokgatle, talk to us about the work that you have done with Mr. Agrizzi from the time when he came and worked with your foundation to the moment now.
Good afternoon, Clement, and good afternoon to the viewers of eNCA. Can I correct something first? The money which the 200,000 which came, it was donated to me not by Mr. Angelo, but by the court and the human rights, because they're the ones who charged that money. And Mr. Buang Jones says he was donating this money so that I can continue doing the work which I'm doing for the foundation. Now, coming back to Mr. Agrizzi, the very first time I met Mr. Agrizzi was at the court outside, the court in Randburg. I took a challenge when Mr. Agrizzi says he's not just giving money out, but he wants me to mentor him. Obviously, as a black consciousness person, I took the challenge because remember that black consciousness is not about the color of the skin, it's the state of mind. And obviously what I did with Angelo, because I could not understand why he was saying he was a racist and a person who did not seem to me, seems like a racist. But he said he was sort of pushed and coerced into saying certain things under the influence of the wine, as he said. And the challenge I took was that he is not just going to donate money, but he wants me to mentor him. And now with the background of Black Consciousness movement, which Biko founded with Botiro, I took the challenge because obviously we have to change the white people in South Africa. We have to make them understand what does blackness means. We have to make them understand what human rights means. And the only way I can do that was to take Agrizzi and show him the places where we are. Because sometimes white people are in their area and they don't know black people. They just see black people in a remote place. So what I did, I took him firstly to Alexandra because he wanted to be with the foundation and to see what the foundation is doing. And secondly, I took him to Phuket because there was one of my brothers in Rustenburg by the name of Kirisalachi Mokgatle who said, but how can you talk to a racist person? I said, okay, I'll bring him here, then you can ask him. I don't want to talk for him. I took Agrizzi to Phokeng, and he met with Piri and other of my relatives. And when he sort of spoke, they understood where he come from. And as I said, even on the media, on the radio talkback show, I can't remember what station, there was an old lady who phoned from Bottom Springs who said he knows Agrizzi as a person who's very gentle, a person who's right. But he couldn't understand what he said. But from her personal being, Agrizzi has been a nice person. So I took him and took him around, even showed him what the foundation stands for, because we said we are trying social cohesion. Because as a Black conscious person, a child of Steve Biko, we said we have to rehabilitate these people. They've got to understand where the Black person comes. Yeah. Because if they don't understand a Black person, obviously they'll keep on saying the racist word. But we have to say to him, Agrizzi, I said, Agrizzi, understand that the word K word is very painful to a person. And he said, look, I changed, I don't know what, I really did. And I really said, because I was under the influence. Yeah. And he said, people led me to doing this because they had their own agendas. Yeah. I remember when I was saying this thing on the front steps of Randburg Court, I said, I take Agrizzi as Saul in the Bible who became Paul. Because we all repent, we all got these sins. I mean, I attend church at Methodist Church, which says anybody who says he's going to not sin, he's a liar in front of the eyes of God. Yeah. So I took Agrizzi, and obviously, sometimes we sit down, we take me out, and I talk about politics, I talk about Black consciousness, I talk about why I was one of the student leaders fighting apartheid education at that time, that we are fighting for human rights, we are fighting for human dignity, we are fighting that any Black person should understand that he's a creation of God, and therefore nobody is going to stand on top of the Creator, the creation of God.
And thank you for outlining that process, Mr. Mokgatle. Thank you for outlining that process for us. I want to hear your own personal reflections, Mr. Agrizzi, after what Mr. Mokgatle has outlined, the kind of work that you have done together with him, his foundation, the people that he's taken you to. What is it that you have learned? What did you learn in that process about how you used to behave in the past? What would you say made you racist, and what made you reform?
I think, Clement, Barney's hit the nail on the head, and it was one incident, and it was wrong, and I never ever discounted it. I took full responsibility for it, and I owned up to it. I think the big thing for me and the Black consciousness movement itself has opened my eyes. What Steve Biko has done, what Barney Mokgatle has done, what all our previous leaders have done, opened up my eyes to the plight of people and made me go into it a little bit more deeper. We've been involved with the creches in Alexandra. We've been involved in Phokeng. We've been working all over the place. And, it's been very eventful. Unfortunately, since my health took a turn for the worst, I haven't been able to get out at all. So, we communicate via telephone and via WhatsApp and that. But hopefully, soon, once this COVID has settled down a bit, we can get back to that and get back to doing our work out there.
Yeah. So there are people that have argued that, well, you don't just stop being a racist, right? It's a journey. There are a lot of things that you have to learn. There are a lot of things that you have to unlearn. You don't just perhaps visit Alexandra or be part of a foundation and then boom, you are reformed. It really does take time, and chances are you are not the one that's going to see it. It's the people around you that will see that particular change. How do you respond to that argument that, maybe it's the people around you that will pick up that things have changed around Angelo Agrizzi?
I worked with over 6,500 families for many, many years, for 19 years. And I write about it in my book, Inside the Belly of the Beast. I give a proper overview of exactly why I said what I said, why I said what happened, and the process embarked on to change it and to create a new harmonious, a more integrated approach, even in business, and how to deal with it. So people will be there. They will be negative. You'll always have that. But Clement, at the end of the day, walk a mile in my shoes. Do what we did as whistleblowers. Open up the corruption. One mustn't forget that we've seen it so many times, that the racism is thrown at us every time we uncover malfeasance and we uncover corruption. I mean, we have a look at it even with Nomvula Muganyane. We look at it even with Kevin Wangford now, with the comments he made about racism and that, all that. So people sometimes use that as well against us. And one just needs to consider the work that we've done and what we opened up and what we showed South Africa as well, and take that into context.
Yeah. Mr. Mokgatle, what is it that you identified? Earlier you took us through the program and where you've taken Mr. Agrizzi. I've just indicated to him now that, some people may argue that, well, you don't decide by yourself that you are reformed just because you've completed a program or you've been spending time with particular people. It really does take time. You learn and you unlearn. It's a journey. What have you picked up from your side, having spent some time with him?
Yeah, what I've picked up from him, because in his life, I don't think he has ever spoken about black consciousness and admiring people like Steve Biko, admiring the student leaders of 72 fought for this land. These are the people who really made him come to realize that he was doing wrong. Because what was funny with Angelo is that he took me to his brother in Jamestown. His brother is such a humble, nice person. And I spoke to the people who worked for him. And they were telling me how he was helping them, mentoring them. They were not just there for salary. They were there to learn and so that they can start their own business. And his business is all over the continent, and he's fighting for it. And these people really love him. So because the process, like you said, it's not a one-day thing. We have to change his mindset. If not only him, white people have got to change the mindset to understand what the black person is. Because sometimes it might be controversial to say that, God created a black person in the image of God. And the white people evolved from the black person. It's another controversial thing which a lot of people don't understand, because he created the black person. So we have to say that, Angelo, understand that you are destroying the image of God. And obviously it's going to take him some time. Even us with black consciousness, even now we still keep on learning about black consciousness, philosophy, learning how we interact with other people, because we've got to understand each other. So it's going to take him some time, because I have to change his mindset to see black, because black consciousness it's not about the color of the skin, it's a state of mind. So I'm trying to twist Angelo. I'm not trying. I'm making him to twist his mindset to think what black consciousness philosophy is and what is a black person, because we are all equal in the eyes of God.
Okay.
So at least I can see his changes, even the way he interacts with us. He's not scared of black people. He works freely. Even when he was in Alexandra, he wasn't scared of black people coming and asking that.
He shouldn't be.
No,
Mr. Agrizzi.
No, you know why?
Yeah.
No, because other people are frightened of Alexandra, because they say it's a thuggery, it's a wrong place, and they're hooligans. But Angelo was free. He was working, and they were asking questions, and he was answering them, because nobody was trying to be a bodyguard. Let them talk and ask him questions and answer. Hence, you are right to say it's a long journey. He's not going to do it in 2 weeks. He's not going to do it in 2 years. It's a long process. It's a learning session.
Okay, Mr. Mokgatle, thanks for that. Mr. Agrizzi, just the last words from you. What message do you have from, I suppose, other people that may still harbor the racist mind or may still behave in the way you used to behave when you indicated that you used to be racist? What message do you have to them?
I have a very simple message. It's a message that I penned when I first met Barney, and I penned it and I wrote it to my granddaughters, and I said to Sophia Ella and every Ruth and every child born in South Africa post-2019, always speak the truth, love each other, even if your voice is shaking, guard against the mistakes made by my generation that has taken this beautiful country to the precipice of disaster. And I hope you get a chance to read it. It's in the book, and you'll read more about my story in the book, Clement. Thank you very much to you and your viewers.
All right. Former Bosasa COO Angelo Agrizzi and Barney Mokgatle, thank you so much to both of you for making time this afternoon.